Behind these doors, a jury seeing for the first time what the world's been talking about for months. Videos of those notorious so-called freak-offs.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're detailing the shocking revelations and notable occurrences from the 6th week of Sean Diddy Combs' federal trafficking trial. Warning, certain information contains distressing details.
Jurors removed their headphones. We saw one who looked rather disgusted, kind of made a face, bent his eyebrows.
Juror dismissed.
Juror number 6 is officially dismissed from the Sean Diddy Combs trial.
In a dramatic shakeup to begin day 24 of Sean Diddy Combs' federal trafficking trial, juror number 6 was officially dismissed and replaced after prosecutors raised red flags about his honesty during jury selection.
The judge said he gave conflicting answers when asked a pretty basic question: where do you live? And during jury selection, he said he lived in the Bronx. He then mentioned somewhat casually to a court staff member that he had moved to New Jersey.
The juror, a black middle-aged man who initially claimed to live in the Bronx, was later found to have moved to New Jersey, disqualifying him from serving on a Manhattan jury.
With the former juror number 6 being a 41-year-old black man, Diddy's defense argued in a 14-page appeal filed June 15th that there was, quote, no valid basis to dismiss him, and removing him would affect the diversity of the jury.
Though Combs' legal team objected, accusing the prosecution of trying to alter the jury's racial makeup. Judge Arun Subramanian cited, quote, serious concerns about the jurors' candor and insisted race couldn't be a factor in the decision.
The judge also said it would be inappropriate for him to consider race when making the decision as to whether this juror's candor made it appropriate for him to stick around.
With his removal, a 57-year-old white architect from Westchester has taken his place, making the jury slightly older and less diverse. Jury shown explicit messages and videos.
Today, the jury in New York City's most famous trial of the moment, Sean Diddy Combs, viewing real-life footage of the infamous sex parties known as freak-offs.
The realigned jury in Sean Diddy Combs' criminal trial was presented with a series of records, messages, and most notably, explicit video footage of the so-called freak-offs.
These are the videos that depicted Cassie Ventura with male escorts, and these videos, explicit though they are at the heart of the prosecutor's case.
These were presented by summary witnesses Ananya Sankar and U.S. Attorney's Office Special Agent Deliasa Penland, who were called by the government to help clarify previous witness testimony.
The graphs, the charts that we spoke of yesterday, where there are locations, dates, names, flight records of people who were possibly involved in these alleged freak-offs or hotel nights, as Jane testified to last week.
Jurors reviewed documentation supporting a purported meeting between Combs, Cassie Ventura, and male escorts at hotels with travel and lodging expenses and damages charged to Combs' credit card.
The jury saw hotel records detailing a 2012 hotel stay where the rap mogul racked up more than $46,000 in room damage fees, all paid for by Combs' company.
Additional travel invoices and messages from 2012 and 2013 showed Ventura being flown across the country, as well as text exchanges arranging freak-offs with multiple men.
The videos came with hotel receipts, credit card statements, travel records that helped give the jury a full picture of how Sean Combs allegedly got her and male escorts to different hotel rooms for the purposes of these sexual encounters.
One 2013 thread showed Cassie asking Diddy whether he had recorded a particular encounter on his phone. The jury was then shown actual video clips from explicit encounters, marking the first time they viewed moving images rather than stills or audio.
Behind these doors, a jury seeing for the first time what the world's been talking about for months. Videos of those notorious so-called freak-offs involving Sean Diddy Combs.
The jurors donned headphones and watched approximately 10 minutes of video footage depicting the X-rated encounters involving Diddy, Cassie, and male escorts. It's reported that the courtroom fell silent as faint moans from the footage leaked through the headphones.
The gallery was not allowed to see or hear these explicit videos, but as the excerpts played, we could faintly hear the sound of music and moaning noises.
Intercontinental Hotel incident records. Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson presented a timeline of records related to the March 2016 altercation at the Intercontinental Hotel between Combs and Ventura. Messages revealed Diddy frantically calling and texting Ventura while she told him to stay away.
He was telling her that he was going to be arrested. That wasn't true. He was fervently trying to get in touch with her.
Cassie also texted Diddy's former chief of staff, Christina Courtroom, pleading for help. Around this time, Combs was in communication with former Intercontinental security guard Eddie Garcia, who previously testified that Diddy paid $100,000 to obtain the only copy of the hotel's surveillance footage of the incident.
This is all very important for the racketeering conspiracy case, Reed, for the prosecution to show that there was knowledge and an effort to cover up what was going on.
The jury also reviewed Ventura's messages expressing distress in the days that followed.
"You gonna abandon me all alone?" Ventura responded in part, quote, "I have a black eye and a fat lip. You are sick for thinking it's okay to do what you have done."
She once wrote to Diddy, quote, "You treat me like Ike Turner," referring to Tina Turner's well-known abusive relationship. Judge warns lawyers.
He was threatening to reprimand the government and the lawyers for Combs.
It's said that Judge Arun Subramanian appeared visibly furious at one point during the week's proceedings, as he sharply reprimanded both the prosecution and the defense. The issue was over an online article that seemed to reference information from a sealed hearing about another possible issue with another juror.
Apparently there was an article that discussed an issue that exists with one of the jurors, not the one who's been removed. This is a different issue. It was the subject of a closed proceeding.
Demanding answers, the judge asked the attorneys if they knew the source of the leak, stating bluntly, quote, "Someone is lying."
Both parties said they didn't know what was going on. He says someone is lying and he's going to investigate because information from a sealed proceeding is not supposed to leave his chambers.
He reminded the court that a gag order had been issued to the government, the defendant, all defense attorneys, and anyone connected to the case. Subramanian warned that further issues, quote, could lead to civil or criminal contempt charges for those involved.
And he said that he would do a thorough investigation, even write an opinion admonishing lawyers responsible, which would effectively derail their ability to try a case in this courthouse.
Juror sickness causes court cancellation.
Juror chaos right now.
Sean Diddy Combs' federal trafficking and racketeering trial hit an unexpected pause on Wednesday, June 19th, when one of the jurors fell ill en route to the Manhattan courthouse.
There was a sick juror, so they had to push back parts of this case, and that could complicate some things in terms of the schedule the judge has put forward.
According to Judge Arun Subramanian, the juror began experiencing vertigo, prompting his partner to alert the court. As this individual was a regular juror and not an alternate, the judge ruled there was no way to proceed with testimony for the day.
One of the jurors was actually on the way this morning to report for duty for the trial and was experiencing vertigo symptoms, was not able to go and obviously sit in the courtroom all day. So the judge said, hey, let's press pause and we will try and pick things up again tomorrow.
When the prosecution inquired whether the illness was likely to be temporary, Judge Subramanian responded that it appeared to be a sudden issue.
I guess thankfully they were actually a bit ahead of schedule, which is kind of surprising, given that everything seems to run slow. Nothing is ahead of schedule, but they were actually ahead of schedule here. So
before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Trial timeline update. The federal trafficking and racketeering trial of Sean Diddy Combs, which began on May 12, 2025, is finally nearing its conclusion after 6 weeks of explosive testimony.
And she says that Combs showed up to her apartment early in the morning with a gun and kidnapped her.
Although the proceedings were briefly delayed due to an ill juror, momentum has resumed, and according to prosecutors, they are preparing to rest their case as early as Monday, June 22nd.
The jury seeing inside the world of Sean Diddy Combs, viewing receipts and intimate videos as the prosecution wraps up its case.
Their final witness is Brendan Paul, a former assistant to Combs who has taken the stand to invoke his Fifth Amendment rights. However, Judge Arun Subramanian has since signed an immunity order compelling Paul to testify.
We expect him to testify about providing drugs to Sean Combs.
Once the prosecution concludes, the defense will have their turn to present its case. And while they will call witnesses of their own, sources have told People magazine that Sean Combs will not be one of them, as he is not expected to testify. The defense's case is projected to take place over the course of 2 to 5 days.
The defense is going to put on a number of witnesses, especially an expert to combat Dr. Hughes's testimony, that expert in sex trauma. And that, I think, is going to become a very large point of contention, this battle of the experts as to, is Cassie and Jane, are they victims of sexual assault, or is it something else?
After that, both sides will deliver closing arguments before it's handed over to the jury, where deliberations will begin immediately. And with no set deadline, jurors will be granted as much time as necessary to render a verdict in one of the most closely watched celebrity trials in recent memory.
If convicted on all charges, Sean Combs faces a maximum sentence of life in prison.
Are you keeping up with the federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs? What's been the most surprising moment for you over the past 6 weeks? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
The New York Times, the AP, reported that one person winced and another person actually took the headphones off.